Hi guys, welcome back to your Not So Ordinary Scrapbook channel. I don't know how this video is gonna go because if you notice the title of this video, you'll know that we had a tragedy over the weekend. So we're still navigating it. I wasn't going to scrapbook today, but I need something to do. All I'm doing is crying and I need something to get my mind off of it. It's so tragic what happened. I can't even tell you. And I don't want to accuse anybody, there's some anger going on. I don't know if it's anger or, how the grief process is. It's especially when it's a child, people point fingers and it's just, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the person who is pointing fingers and because I know that his parents are hurting so much. I know they are. I know his parents are hurting so much. If you don't know, you can probably, if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you're going to know, you're going to recognize this little boy's name, and you're going to know that a lot of videos, I scrapbook pictures of him in the videos. He was a very big part of our family. Jordan and Hunter, my son and daughter-in-law, they were this little boy's, this is our Christmas letter that I mailed out to people this past year. I don't normally do a Christmas letter, but this year there just was a lot of changes and a lot of new things happening, and new babies and a wedding, and I needed to give new contact information because I had been hacked, and just a lot of updates that I needed to give, and it was just easier to do it in a Christmas letter. So I'm going to include it. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this envelope out. I'm just going to stick it in the envelope. I think that that's the best way to do it. So, as you know, I keep it real on this channel, and I try to keep it real anyway. And is that gonna work? It's almost too big. Maybe if I fold it differently. If I fold it like this. Gosh, I don't even know where to start. I guess I can start from the beginning because that's the only way I know how to start. Saturday afternoon, I was working on some training courses that I have to have done by the end of June or my credential expires. And so I was sitting at my computer, and Scott was, we had, as you know, our central air unit died, and we just don't have the money right now to get a whole new system. It's really expensive. And ours was really old, so it can't be fixed. And so we decided that for this year anyways, we are going to just buy some air conditioners, and we already have an air conditioner in our living room. And so we bought an air conditioner for our bedroom, and then we bought an air conditioner for Ethan's bedroom. And then we got one for the dining room, and we keep the door open to the dining room all the time, so that'll cool the entryway, hallway, and the kitchen. And the kitchen gets air from the living room anyway. So, yeah, I think we're going to do that. I don't know that I'm going to put any more decorations on this page other than this, because this was our Christmas card. It's got family. The only people that are missing off of here are Matt and Yessie and Aria, because Aria had just been born. She was due around the same time as Hunter and Jordan were going to get married, and Matt was supposed to be in the wedding. And then when we found out that that Yessie was pregnant, and they told us, they did not want to travel. So, well, first of all, we didn't know if she was even going to have the baby by the wedding. She can't travel when she's super pregnant, or she can't fly. And she didn't want to fly with a newborn. There just was so many things that Hunter and Jordan said, don't worry about it. You know, we're happy for you that you're having a baby, and, you know, there's nothing you can do. So, like, there was no, like, brotherly animosity or anything just because Matt couldn't make it to the wedding. I mean, and we were told, like, way, way in advance, like, right when they found out they were pregnant. We were told. And Hunter and Jordan were told and everything. And so they're the only ones that are missing. Here's my husband's holding the little boy that passed away on Saturday. Our little Kason. I might just put this here. And put Christmas letter or something. So, anyways, Scott was working with the air conditioner, and I wasn't paying attention to my phone because I was working on the computer, but I had the phone beside me, and I didn't know that anyone tried to call me because my phone didn't ring. But I did, the face was up on my phone. So, like, I saw a text come through. I had just glanced over there for a minute, and I saw a text come through, and it was from Hunter, and it said, "Answer your phone now." And I was like, oh, you know, and I didn't really think that he was, like, angry or anything like that. This was definitely the last thing that I thought it was. I thought maybe he was joking with me, and I thought that he was, like, they were trying to call me, about like watching the kids or something, is what I thought at first. So I called him, and he said, "You need to drive to Decatur now." He said, Kason fell in a swimming pool and he's blue. And he said, he's at Decatur Memorial Hospital. Meet us there. We're on our way. We're driving as fast as we can. And Kason was with his biological parents because they got their rights back last summer. So we had Kason, or Hunter and Jordan had Kason from birth. He was about a week old when they got him, and then he was about 2.5 when the parents got him back. Well, this whole thing happened in Decatur with his parents. So we really didn't know what was going on. I don't know that Hunter and Jordan knew the extent of what was going on. And so we drove down to Decatur. I went and got Scott. I shut my computer off. I'm like, we got to leave now. I told him that Kason fell in a swimming pool. And I thought, in my mind, I didn't go that far. Like, I thought, oh, he fell in the swimming pool and someone picked him up and he swallowed a bunch of water, is what I thought. When Hunter said he was blue, I thought, well, surely somebody revived him, was my, my mind did not go there. And so we drove down to Decatur Hospital, and we pulled in the parking lot of the hospital in the ER. Hunter said, meet us at the ER. So we pulled in the parking lot, and as we got out of the car, I saw Kason and Minnie J. Hunter and Jordan adopted Minnie J, and he's Kason's biological brother. So it's his parents too. But we saw Kason's parents and grandparents and an aunt and outside sitting on the steps, and they were crying. And immediately I knew he was gone. No one even had to tell me. I just knew. I thought, why would they be outside? So I looked to the right, and there was, on the other side of the parking lot, was Hunter and Jordan and Jordan's mom and Jordan's brother, and the little kids, our other grandchildren, were in the car because they had to race to Decatur as fast as they could. They didn't have time to drop them off anywhere, and so they were in the car, and Hunter shook his head no, and I just lost it in the parking lot. I just can't believe he's gone. Oh my gosh. And how it happened was just, Kason had autism, and we all knew that he was an escape artist. He was 3, inquisitive, had no fear. You had to watch him constantly. Every time I babysit, he would, I don't call it babysitting because he was my grandson, but in every way he was my grandson, and in every single way Hunter and Jordan were his parents. I know that it would hurt his parents to know this, but I honestly think that he looked at Hunter and Jordan as his parents, and I don't know that he ever knew that his parents were actually his parents. I really don't, because you see pictures of him, and I saw the way that he reacted with Hunter and Jordan, and I mean, that was they were his people, you know. And most of the time, even after Mom and Dad got him back, he was at Hunter and Jordan's, because they, for whatever reason, they had a different lifestyle, we'll just say that, than Hunter and Jordan, and it was not conducive to having a child around. And so, which was one of the reasons why he was taken to begin with. But we won't get into that, because I truly believe he was another victim of our failed foster care system. I think he would be alive today if I know he would be alive today if he had stayed with Hunter and Jordan. Let's just say that. But they had him most of the week anyway, because mom worked in Decatur, and Jordan's mom took care of him during the week. So he would just live at Hunter and Jordan's house most of the week. And then on the weekends, they would come get him, because they didn't have to work on the weekends. And then they would bring him back home to Decatur. So really, they were like weekend parents, his real parents. And DCFS closed the case in October. No matter what Jordan and Hunter said, they closed the case. They're like, no, we're closing the case. And Jordan's like, I think that's a really big mistake. And they did it anyway. And there was nothing they could do about it. And so Jordan, being the advocate that she is, she was constantly telling his mom, Jordan knew that Kaysen's mom her dad had a swimming pool. And because she was always posting pictures of Kaysen and Mini Jordan, when we would let Mini Jordan go over there, in the swimming pool, and she was big on posting a lot of pictures and stuff on Facebook. And so, so Jordan she constantly warned her, you need to, if you ever go over to your dad's, you need to watch him, because he knows he will escape, and you have to watch him every single second, especially around a pool. You have to watch him around water. And Jordan said she sent her a link. I guess there's this bracelet that you can put on your child's arm that, anytime they're even near water, it'll go off. If it even gets a tiny bit wet, it'll go off. And for whatever reason, they didn't get it. Jordan was such an advocate. I can't even tell you all the things she did for that child. Long after, it was required of her, we loved that child. That child was our baby. We all, so much. Well, so Jordan proceeded to tell me the story of what happened. Well, no, Jordan didn't. It was her, was it Hunter? Someone told me. It was Jordan's mom who told me, because Jordan was in shock. Jordan was sitting on a on the curb in the parking lot, and she was not saying a word. She's already lost a child. She lost a child due to a disability, and that was not anybody's fault. The child, Lainey was born with a life-threatening disability, which they told Jordan that she would not live at all. And it wasn't anything that Jordan did. It was just one of those things that happened, and it had nothing to do with anything other than the fact that it happened. It's one of those chromosomal abnormalities that just happens and it was an extremely rare condition. She had schizencephaly, where she was born without a brain. But she lived to be 9 years old. Jordan took care of her until she passed. She passed away in her sleep when she was 9 years old. And that was heartbreaking for Jordan too, because Jordan loved her so much. That was her. She was her whole life, and she still is her whole life. I don't know why, but I'm not getting this. But so to have this happen a second time with one of her kids, she just sat there just staring forward, just not a word the entire time. And even when people tried to talk to her, she just didn't. She just sat there. And it was the most heartbreaking thing that I think I've ever seen. This experience has been the most heartbreaking thing I have ever experienced in my life. I've been through a lot, but I had never been through the death of a child or the death of a grandchild. And it's really hard. But Jordan's mom said that Kaysen's mom asked her sister to watch Kaysen while she ran across the street to the Dollar General. And why she didn't bring Kaysen with her is beyond me. We have no idea. Well, she knew that Kaysen could open the sliding glass door. She knew it. She had told Jordan that he learned how to do that. And Jordan said, you need to take precautions. You need to, if he can, there's a pool in the backyard, you need to watch him every single second. And Jordan was assured that that they watched him every single second. Well, so mom left and the aunt was supposed to watch, and I guess there was a lot of people over there because they were having like a cookout or something. And Kaysen was in the house when she left, and she was gone for about 15 minutes. And I guess when she came back, she asked her sister, she said, "Where's Kaysen?" And her sister said, "I don't know." And so they were looking for him together, and they noticed that the sliding glass door was open. And so his mom ran out there, and he was floating in the pool. And he was blue, and we have no idea how long he was in the pool because no one noticed that he was gone. And so they called 911. Mom called 911. I have no idea where Dad was. I have no idea. He was at the hospital, but I have no idea where he was at this time. If he was with her. I really don't know. I just don't know. And so the paramedics came, but and they tried everything, but it was too late. Jordan said there was some vomit on Kaysen's shirt. So I don't know if they, you know, if that just came up post-mortem or what happened, but Jordan said that her and Hunter stayed in the car with the little kids, and her and her mom went into the hospital, and they wouldn't let her back there because she wasn't mom. She wasn't like a family member. They kept asking her, "Are you his aunt?" And she said no. And she should have told him that she was his foster mom. But you know how parents are. They don't want, like, they don't want people to know their story. You know, they're prideful. And, you know, so Jordan didn't say anything, and she waited, and then finally they let her go back, and she said he was blue, like, just so blue. And then the coroner got there, and they had to get him cleaned up and stuff like that. They needed to evaluate everything, and then the police showed up, and they were interviewing the parents, getting their statement of what happened. And then they were asked to wait outside, and that's when we pulled up, was when they were outside for that. And Jordan is furious at them. She's so mad. She's like, I told them, you know, and she told DCFS so many times. She had proof. She had photographs of things that they were doing that they were posting on Facebook that, you know, that they shouldn't have been doing around. You know, there'd be a picture of Kaysen, and there'd be stuff in the background that it just, I don't know. But DCFS, they just didn't want anything to do with it. They wanted to wash their hands of it. And it's unfortunate because it cost another child a life. This happens way too often. They want to close a case and they don't think about the child. It's just, and I'm not saying they didn't love their kids. I really truly believe that they love their kids. I truly believe that they show love to Jordy and to Kaysen and to Avery. You know, I've seen that love. You know, I know it's in their eyes. I know, but just some people they just don't have the skills to take care of a child. And, you know, and then when you mix stuff in with that can alter your mind, you know, and I don't know for sure if she has been using or not, but we suspect, just because of times that we've seen her at birthday parties and stuff for the kids, and she's at least smoking pot. And so is he. I mean, they're high on something, whether it be hardcore drugs that they used to take or if it's like just marijuana. I don't know. I don't know, but they just didn't watch him very closely. Like, even at Jordy's birthday party, Kaysen kept trying to escape out the door, and Hunter would have to go after him. You know, and his parents were there. It's like, that's not Hunter's job to go after their kid but Hunter loves him, you know, and we all like are just devastated over this. This is horrible. I can't believe that he's gone. I can't believe that something so senseless happened. That, you know, and the other thing is from what I understand, it was an above the ground pool that he drowned in, and he's 3. So someone left a ladder in the pool. You know, it's like these things. It's like, why would you leave a ladder in the pool when you have a 3-year-old who has autism that you know is an escape artist? Why would you do that? You know, and I'm sure his mom is beating herself up and the dad is beating themselves up. I know that. I understand that. You know, and we don't hate them. We don't hate them. But it just is so, it's hard not to be angry at them, you know. And we've tried really hard to, like, just be very, like, respectful on Facebook about it. Just, you know, just like the details and like we're hurting and stuff, because we understand that they're hurting too. You know, there's no question that they're not devastated. This is Kason right here in the pajamas. He had his little PEX cards and he would carry them around the room. I'm pretty sure, no one ever said what level he was. I'm pretty sure he was level 2. Because he was talking a little bit. And his receptive language skills were very strong. Like, if he needed something, he would walk up to you and he would grab your hand and take you where to get what he wanted. I mean, he was very good at communicating non-verbally. He was a smart boy. He could do puzzles really well. He could do, he was really good at puzzles, actually. Shape sorters, any kind of, like, fine motor activity, he was really good at. I think that he would have gone far in life. I really do. And it's so sad that it was cut short. So, the hardest part about this whole situation is, so we took Corbin and Esme home with us that night because they were in the van in the parking lot waiting, and Esme said, Kason has big boo-boo. He's blue. And I was like, she didn't see him. How does she know he's blue? But then I kind of, she overheard someone say that he was blue. She did not know. Like, we didn't tell the kids that he was gone. We wanted to keep everything as normal as possible. I think she sensed over the weekend, because she's a very smart little girl. She's 3. And I asked her, she had a really sad look on her face. And when we were playing Play-Doh, and I said, Esme, I said, are you sad? And she said, yes. And I said, why are you sad? And she said, because Kason has big boo-boo. And she had tears in her eyes. And I feel like she knew. She knew. Somehow in her little 3-year-old mind, she knew. And I didn't tell her. I just said, Kason has big boo-boo. it's just so heart-wrenching. I don't know how Hunter and Jordan are going to tell Esme. Corbin's not going to know. He's probably not going to remember him, even though we have so many photos of them together. We have so many photos of Kaysen. He was just such a part of our life. The last time he was here was the week of Easter, before we got in that argument, and then our whole big Easter fiasco. But the week before, I had been babysitting, like Scott and I had been watching the kids for them while they worked, and we had Kaysen a few days during that time. And that one day was just wild. I couldn't keep him off of the piano. He kept climbing up on the piano. And I'm going to put grateful for this, because I'm grateful for the time that I got to spend with him. It's hard when you're like scrapbooking happy memories, but like that are like a few months old or 6 months old, and like where it's leading. I think that, like, if you're gonna journal, you might as well just journal from that point, and just like, I may put, little did we know that our time with you was going to be short. But he was a handful that day, and I was exhausted. I had seen clients, and Scott had to go to work, and and because Kaysen is a flight risk, we didn't normally take him over to Scott's mom's because Jordan wasn't sure that she could handle, or that Scott's mom could handle him, like, escaping her apartment, and she knew that, like, he would be safe here, and so that day was so exhausting, and he he was climbing on the piano, and I must have got him down, like, so, gosh, I can't even tell you. Like, I would move stuff so he couldn't climb on that to get up on top of the piano, and somehow he would still get up there. I have no idea how he was getting up there. And I would watch him, and he was climbing on the chair, and he was climbing on the side of the piano, and he was just like, any which way that he could get up there, he would try, and I would get him down. And I was like, Kaysen, you can't climb on the piano. He wanted the guitar that was up there. We have a guitar on the wall, and he wanted that guitar. But he was also dumping toys all over the living room, and that was, like, challenging. And he was, climbing up on where I keep my toys, my therapy toys, and he was climbing up on the side of the couch, and he was reaching in and dumping those toys. And oh man, I had a mess. I had such a mess that day. And then I laid Corbin down for a nap, and Kaysen crawled up on my lap, and he fell asleep. And he slept in my arms until Hunter picked him up, and that's the last time I saw him. So my last memory of him alive is me holding him when he was asleep. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I had that time with him. I think that I believe in God, and I believe that God knew, God knew that I would need to look back on that and just have that be my final memory. Not that he was just this wild little guy, dumping things and all that stuff, I think that God knew that I needed that. I needed that memory of me holding him. It was just such a precious moment because he's just so calm, just sleeping in my arms. I just can't, I can't believe he's gone. I just can't. It just makes me sick to my stomach every time I think about it. So Jordan tried to talk to Mom about having Kason buried next to Lainey. Lainey has like a bench for a gravestone. And Jordan said, you don't have to pay anything. We'll open up the grave and we'll put Kason in there with her. And then they can be together. And then we'll have them put his name on the gravestone. Or on the bench too. And Mom and Dad were like, well, we don't know, you know. But I'm hoping that they agreed to it because the funeral, instead of being in Decatur, it is in Clinton. So where Hunter and Jordan live, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm so forever grateful that it's in Clinton, at a funeral home in Clinton. And I'm hoping with all my might that he is buried next to Lainey. Because we will visit him all the time. We visit Lainey all the time. Bring her flowers. We bring her little statues. I know that Jordan, they came here on Sunday to get the kids, to get Esme and Corbin. And then they dropped off Minnie J. And Minnie J spent the night until last night, yesterday. And Minnie J, he acted fine. I mean, he was smiling and stuff. I don't know that he understood. He's really a smart kid, but I don't think anybody really said anything around him. I don't think that he knew, even though he was there at the time. Like, I don't know that he was listening or that he, I don't know. Or maybe he didn't understand what this means, or I can't tell you what he didn't appear like he was upset at it at all, and I'm grateful for that. If he didn't understand, I'm grateful that he doesn't understand. But I'm sure that his parents are going to want to hold him at the funeral and stuff, because him and Avery are all they have left, and both of them have been adopted by other families, so Kason was the only one that they had. And I just hope they don't have any more kids. I mean, but they may, because now they don't. No one will take the place of Kason, though. I don't know. I don't want to ever. I don't want to ever act like they're not hurting or they're not sad or that this was not like the biggest tragedy of their life, because I'm sure it was. It's just that people grieve differently, and I'm sure that there is a huge amount of guilt there as well. To carry such guilt with you is just, I can't even imagine how much guilt that would be. How painful that would be to carry with. I worry about them, because I worry they're going to dive deep into like what they used to be in, because there's no one like preventing them from doing that. And that kind of scares me because I really don't want to see that happen to them. Is that too many dots? It is, but I kind of like it. I'm wondering if I put if I ink the edges of it, if it would make a difference. So, so today, the parents, they announced the funeral service. I did see clients this morning. I'm seeing clients tomorrow. I had to rearrange one client that I see on Thursdays because that's the day of the funeral, and it's at the exact same time that I see this child. So I had to rearrange it, and they were extremely understanding. I'm so thankful that I have that kind of a job, that people are so understanding. And so they printed that and shared it on Facebook when the funeral was and where it was at. And that's how we found out that it was in Clinton. And then I know Jordan, when they were here picking up Corbin and Esme, they searched around looking for Kaysen's favorite toys at our house. There were certain toys that were his favorites at our house and at their house. And whatever she found, she wanted to put it in the casket with him. And all of his favorite things. And so I said, take it. Take whatever was his favorite things. And one of his favorite things to carry around from the time he was like 1 was these round checkers. We have a giant checkerboard that came from Cracker Barrel with the great big giant checkerboard chips, and the red chips were his favorite, and he would walk around the room carrying these red chips, and they were just like his favorite thing. And then CoComelon. From like the time he was an infant, CoComelon was his favorite. And after we found out like all these things that were bad about CoComelon, then we stopped letting him watch it. But in the beginning, before there was a stigma against CoComelon, we always let him watch it, and that was his favorite thing ever. And he had all the CoComelon toys, and one of the toys that he had at our house was this little action figure guy of CoComelon, or of JJ. And Jordan found that right away, and she's like, can I take this for his casket? And I said, yes, of course. That's his toy, his favorite toy. And so that's going in the casket, and the checker is going in the casket. And his favorite blankies are going in the casket. Jordan said she is not putting his original blankets in the casket because she wants to save those because they smell like him. And I don't blame her at all. And but she bought the identical blankets. And she said that everybody is going to sleep with those blankets until they have to bring him to the funeral home. So it has their scent on them, so they can put it in the casket with him. But yeah, Jordan said that she's not going to wash any of his stuff that's like dirty, because she just wants that smell. She wants to be able to smell him. It's so surreal. Like the whole Jordan, when she came and she got the toys, she told me everything that happened after we left with the kids, and they stayed at the hospital. They were there for 6 more hours after we left. Mom and Dad left right after the coroner left. Dad didn't want to hold him at all. Mom held him for a little bit, but then gave him to Jordan, and Jordan held him the entire time. Jordan would not put him down. And Jordan said she had never seen anything like that before, where, you know, a parents lose a child and just leave. They just left. It was the weirdest thing ever. But Jordan held him, and they did like a molding of his hand for her. They asked her all the things that she wanted done, and Jordan's like, I want a mold of his hand. I want locks of his hair. So they cut locks of his hair so she could have that. And then after the mom and dad had left, the nurse came in, and she's like, Mom, she's like, can I get you anything? Can I get you anything, Mom? And she was calling Jordan Mom. But Jordan also said that, like, they came in and asked them if they were hungry, and Jordan couldn't eat. She said if I ate, she said I would throw up. They asked if they wanted Subway or pizza or whatever, and the mom said this is before they left. They said they wanted pizza, or they wanted Subway. I'm sorry, they wanted Subway. Subway or pizza? Oh, they wanted Subway, but Subway wasn't open. That's what it was. And then, so they ordered pizza, and Jordan said the minute the pizza got there, they just started eating the pizza. Like nothing, like, while Jordan's holding Kason, and it's like, Jordan's holding their dead baby, and it's like they're eating pizza, like, there's nothing, like, wrong. It's just, I don't know. Grief is funny, and I'm not going to judge anybody the way they grieve. I'm just not going to do it. But yeah, after they left, Jordan was able to, the funeral home came to get him, and the nurse came in, and she said, Mom, she says, do you want to carry him out to the transport vehicle? You can carry him out if you want to, and you can carry him out to the stretcher. And Jordan said, yes, I want to do that. And so Jordan carried him out, and she was the very last person to touch that child, other than the funeral home. She was the very last family member to touch him. And we will never be the same. A part of our heart is missing. I can't even imagine, like, you know, the holidays without him. He was just always here. He was always a part of our world. Our world revolved around him. You know, we learned so much about autism because of him. You know, so many things that we didn't know about autism, we learned because of Kason. It's kind of like you're in denial and that may be how the parents felt too. I'm not denying their grief at all. They might be feeling that like that it's not real, you know, like it's a bad dream, and you know, and they can't handle it, you know. It's just so heart-wrenching. And I never want it to appear on here that I'm like exploiting my grandchild, because that is not what I'm trying to do at all. I needed someone to talk to about it. Where I wouldn't get any advice or any, like, you know, it's hard to explain. I don't know if you understand, but sometimes just talking to myself, I wanted to remember this too. I wanted to remember the whole thing while it was fresh in my head, and because I never want to forget him. And I know Scott doesn't either. We were looking for pictures last night, and I'm like, there really aren't a lot of pictures of me with him, because I was behind the camera. There's tons of Scott with him, and with me taking the picture. I'm the photographer. There were pictures of me with him, but I was holding him. Like, I was holding him when he was asleep, or it wasn't like a selfie picture. It was just a picture of his face. You could see my arm, but like, there were just very few pictures of me with him, holding him. He was a heavy little guy, and so Scott would carry him most of the time, just because he was so heavy. But I kind of wish that I would have taken like some selfies with him. He just was hard to hold still to, you know. He just, if I would have known that, you know, a month ago was going to be the last time that I saw him, I would have taken tons of pictures of him and me when he was asleep. And you just never know. Life is precious. So they printed the obituary and posted it on Facebook from the funeral home. And I'm so grateful that the parents put us in there as grandparents, and Ethan as uncle, and Esme and Corbin as his siblings. The only sad part about it is they put Hunter and Jordan as bonus parents. And I know that it's so hard. That was hard to read. That Hunter and Jordan are bonus parents, because they were so much more than that to that little boy. So much more. And they said, like, the bottom of the obituary, they said, we don't want anything from anyone. Just hug your babies extra tight tonight. And that just, like, it broke me. I know that this has got to be killing them. I know that it's killing Hunter and Jordan, and there's nothing that I can do as a mom to fix that. There's absolutely, I wish there was. If I could fix it, I would. And it's not fair to say who's hurting more. But I know that this has completely destroyed Jordan. It's just like, I told her when they came to get the kids yesterday. I said, I've never seen you in shock like that before. I said, you probably don't even know, because you just were, I could tell that you were in shock. You can try with all your might to keep a baby safe. But sometimes it's just not enough. So all my clients that I saw today, all this week, I'm telling them our story. I'm saying, please, because I have kids that I see that have autism. And I'm like, please, watch your child around water. You know, just do not ever leave them alone near water. Even if it's an inch of water, just, you know, just don't leave them. But I feel that it's my duty, like, with the job that I have, that I should tell parents that this is what happened to us. This is what happened to our grandchild. And our lives will never be the same, and I don't want it to ever happen to another child. Because it's absolutely the worst. It's the hardest thing I have ever gone through. I have never, when my grandma died, it was hard. It was really hard because I love my grandma very much. But she was 99 years old. She had lived a really long life. We shouldn't be burying a 3-year-old. And it's senseless what happened. It's just senseless. I know Jordan's mom, she was so upset at the hospital. She said when she saw the cops there, she was like getting a statement and stuff. She goes, I hope they arrest them, you know. And I asked Jordan later about it yesterday. I said, do you think they'll be arrested? You know, because there was a case, you know, will they be drug tested or whatever? And she said, well, the case was closed, so probably not. She said, probably nothing will happen. She said the only thing is that if they're going to they did an autopsy, and if they find that he was underwater for a very long time, then they might convict him. You know, because there were people at that house. There were people. It wasn't like that there was no one there, you know. I mean, people may have been in the kitchen or, you know, doing whatever, but there were still people there. And you cannot leave a 3-year-old unattended, especially when there's a swimming pool. You just can't do it. You can't leave older children alone when there's a swimming pool. And just not to take precautions. I mean, we had a pool when our kids were little. And ours was above the ground. We took the ladder out every single time we were done swimming. And we moved it far away from the pool. And there was no way that the kids would be able to put it in the pool. And we have a sliding glass door as well, and we had a pole. Like, even when we didn't have a pool, we had a pole that we put in the door that the kids could not get out, so they could not open that door. Like, we didn't even trust the lock. We just we put a pole there to block it so that door would not open. It's just so senseless. It just, like I said, it's hard not to be angry. But mostly we're just sad. We're so sad that he's not here with us anymore. Okay, I think I did enough pages today. The only page I didn't do was this one. I skipped this one somehow. I'll just come back to it when I scrapbook again. I need to be done. I have to... I want to take a hot bath before I go to bed. I need to do some more of this training course stuff. I have a class on Thursday that I can't miss. So the funeral's at 5, and I have clients all morning. And then at noon, I have the final class of the Zoom training course that I have to take. So that's Thursday. Tomorrow I have, I have a 9 o'clock, my 11 o'clock canceled because the babysitter was on vacation this week. So she was going to be in Beeson. This little girl was going to be in Beeson at her grandparents' house. And Mom thought it would be easier just to not do developmental therapy tomorrow. So I don't have her tomorrow. So tomorrow I have a 9 o'clock, and then I have a 2 o'clock because I had to move my Thursday at 5. I had to move to tomorrow at 2. And then Thursday I have an 8 o'clock and an 11 o'clock. And that's my last one because my 5 o'clock I moved to tomorrow. So, and then Friday I have one at 3:30. So hopefully in between that time I will have time to work on these training courses. I gotta get them done. I mean, they're not difficult. A lot of it is stuff that I learned in school, but they're time consuming because you have to it won't let you, it locks, there's locks on each module. So you have to go through the whole thing to unlock the next module. And there's videos in there and it has to mark that you watched the video. So it's time consuming to get through it, even though it's something that you learned before. It's always good to refresh your memory on things that you learned prior. I mean, you always gain more knowledge each time that you learn another topic. That's just kind of how the growth mindset is you have background knowledge and then you build on that knowledge, things that maybe you forgot or things that is something new that you're picking up. And so it's important, each course is really important, but it's really time consuming. And then there's an exam at the end of each of these. And the only thing is this one that I'm on right now, I'm halfway done with it. There are 6 modules on this, and it's only 1 credit hour, which I do not understand. I'm how can this just be 1 credit hour? So I only get 1 credit hour for this entire thing with 6 modules that's taken me 2 days to do. And we've been like in mourning for the past, well, since Saturday, and it's like it's hard to like have that growth mindset and have and want to like learn, you know, when you're hurting so bad. I mean, it hasn't been, I wondered how it was going to be seeing clients when I'm like sad and like in mourning, but I've gotten to talk to them about like protecting their child from water and like getting to tell Kaysen's, you know, that part of Kaysen's story. I don't tell them anything about like all the details or anything like that. I just tell them, please be careful with your child around water, because you know, this happened to my grandson, and I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if people say, well, he was a foster grandchild, you know, he wasn't your biological grandchild. I don't believe in that crap. That kid was my grandchild. That kid was Hunter and Jordan's child. They raised him from birth. Just because they haven't had him, like, they have had him. I shouldn't even say that they haven't had him, because he's there almost all week and the parents only have him on the weekend. I mean, even though the parents have had, you know, full custody back of him for the past half a year since last summer, it's like, well, almost an entire year, because I guess it's gonna almost be summer. But they've still had him all week. I mean, like, and they take him everywhere they go. It just doesn't make sense. He knew Hunter and Jordan as mom and dad. And maybe that's why there's some detachment with his biological parents too, is maybe they don't have the same attachment as Hunter and Jordan, because they were with him all the time. And I was with him all the time. And Scott was with him all the time. And Ethan was with him all the time. The only sad thing about the obituary is they didn't, and this is not the parents' fault. The parents wrote out the obituary. I'm just so grateful that they included us, all of us, in the obituary. But they forgot about Matt and Yessie and Aria. I don't think that they knew that Hunter and Ethan had an older brother. And so I kind of like I didn't mention it to them. I just, when I shared the obituary on top, I just put in Matt and Yessie and Aria too. Or Uncle Matt and and Aunt Yessie and cousin Aria too. On my posting of the obituary when I shared it, just so they're not forgotten. I mean, they've met Kaysen. It's just they live in Arizona. I don't think they couldn't make it to the wedding, so I don't think that they knew that they had another sibling. But you know, and their mind is not on like that kind of stuff with reason. I mean, they're in mourning for their child. They don't care that someone was forgotten off of a obituary. It just was a very sweet gesture to include all of us in the obituary. Even though I thought that it was kind of hurtful to Hunter and Jordan to be labeled as bonus parents when they did so much for her. They never charged her for keeping him, ever. She didn't pay them. She didn't pay Jordan's mom, I don't think, for watching Kaysen. You know, she would just drop him off on a Sunday night and then pick him up on a Friday night and just, you know, I don't know. And we love him. We've always wanted to keep him safe. And that's why we've always, you know, wanted him as much as we could get him. And the same thing with Esme. You know, Esme's situation isn't much better. And it's like, you know, every time that her mom says, you know, can you keep Esme longer? Of course, Hunter and Jordan say yes, you know, of course. You know, they know that she's safe. They know that she's loved and cared for, and you know, and we're not saying that her mom doesn't love her either, but it's a different situation. It's not the same. It's just, I don't know. But I need to close this video. I'm sorry if it was like such a downer for everybody, but I needed to just talk about this and just tell y'all what's going on. I'm going to be scrapbooking pictures of him, you know, for a very long time. And I just want you to know that I want people to know that he was here with us. He was a big part of our life, you know. I don't want him to be forgotten. We'll never forget him. Scott and I talked about it, and we're going to plant a tree in our backyard as a memory tree for him. And we want to get a tree that's sturdy enough that'll hold a swing. So we can hang a swing from it so the grandkids can swing on Kaysen's tree. Because that's what he needs to be remembered. I don't want him ever to be forgotten. He was such a huge part of our life. And it's just so sad what happened. It's so sad when things like this happen with kids in foster care, and you know, it's just, you hear these stories, all these horror stories, you know. And I know that there are some foster parents that are not that great either. You know, you hear horror stories about that kind of stuff too, but not in this case. Hunter and Jordan were awesome foster parents. I don't know that they'll ever foster again just because of, you know, this is just too hard, you know. But you never know. They might. I don't know. They're growing their family. You know, they just had Corbin, and Hunter had Esme. So, you know, and they're young. I'm hoping that they have more children, you know, if that's what they want. But I know that even if they do have more children, there'll still always be a hole left there. It's just, it's so sad. But anyway, I thank you all for watching. If you listen this long, thank you. I don't really know what else to say, but just hug your babies. Hug your babies and keep those babies away from water. Watch those babies next to water. I don't care if it's a teeny tiny bit of water. Don't ever let them out of your sight around water. It's the #1 cause of death among children with autism. Somehow they always find water, whether it's a pond or a swimming pool or just even a small pool of water. For some reason, they love water, and so many children with autism die each year because they drowned. So, but take care. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.